Hi, I'm bringing to you author Akshay Hiramit today, and he's written his second book on a topic which is extremely important: corporate world to entrepreneurship, becoming your own boss. It is such a topical issue today. After the pandemic, there are a lot of people who are considering becoming an entrepreneur and they don't know whether they have it in them to become one. In fact, in our friend circle, this is a conversation all the time with people who are in the corporate world and they are fed up of the corporate world. Should they take the plunge and become an entrepreneur? So let's hear it from the author himself, Akshay Hiramit. Hi, Akshay. I'm extremely excited to have you on my channel today.
Hi, Komalini. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
So, Akshay, let's start with hearing about your story as an author. Where did you start? What made you become an author?
Well, my journey as an author goes back many years because way back in 1988, when I was a teenager growing up in Vienna, I started writing a daily journal. And that's something that I've kept up every day of my life for the last, 34 years now. That makes it more than 10,000 journal entries. And doesn't matter how hectic my days are, I don't miss a single journal. It's as much a part of my life as brushing my teeth first thing in the morning. So I've been writing every day of my life for the last so many years now. And then more recently, about a decade ago, I started blogging. And over the last 4 or 5 years, it's something that I've been doing very, very regularly. In fact, I've written about 130 blogs in all, and many of them are related to my biggest passion in life, which is travel. But I've also written a large number of blogs on other areas of interest in my life as well. So writing's been something that I've really enjoyed for many, many years now. And in August of 2020, I I launched my first book, which was called Standing Up Tall Against Bullying, and that was actually an autobiographical story. It was about it was inspired by some very nasty racial bullying which I had experienced during my growing up years in Europe. And the reason why I wrote this book was because I had a lot of learnings to share. And I thought it would be a great idea to share these learnings with children who are going through similar instances of bullying in their schools and other walks of life. So that was my first ever book, and Corporate World to Entrepreneurship is my second book.
Wow, Akshay. In fact, while you were talking, I was trying to search out your second book, and I think I found it here on Amazon. Is this the one you're talking about? You seem to have got a 5-star rating from all your readers. The book has done extremely well, Akshay.
Yes, thank you very much. I must say I was very flattered that so many people gave such positive reviews about my first book. It was wonderful, that it was very meaningful to me, that it meant something to them.
So you already have a readership base for your second book, it seems. So
Thank
where
you.
does somebody find your blog spot, Akshay?
So all my blogs are written in my blogspot, which is akshayhirima.blogspot.com. So I've got about 130 of my blogs over there.
Okay, Akshay, tell me something. You worked so hard as a youngster to get into one of the top 3 business schools of India, and you studied in XLRI, and I'm sure you didn't do that with the thoughts of becoming an entrepreneur. It's probably because you wanted to land yourself a great job, which you did. And you worked with some of the biggest brand names of India. You worked with Britannia, you worked with Nokia for 15 years of your life. What made you leave that massive corporate salary, all the perks of a corporate job, and become an entrepreneur?
I think the number one reason why I became an entrepreneur was because I had this idea which I felt was a great business idea, and it's something which really excited me, primarily because it was in my area of interest. It was in the area of travel, and as everyone knows, travel is what really motivates me in life. So I think that was the single largest driving force which got me to become an entrepreneur.
So, what is your business about? I mean, it's in travel. What do you do? Do you sell travel things? What is your business about?
So having been a very avid international traveler for more than 2 decades, in addition to my passion for researching places and traveling and seeing museums and palaces and exploring cities in great depth, I used to also do a lot of photography, travel photography, blogging, as I mentioned. And I used to also collect travel souvenirs. Now, India has a lot of very good quality handicrafts. But if you look at the kind of international type of souvenirs which you get abroad, at least back then, 10 years ago when I started this business, there were very few companies who were doing that. So one was really hard pressed if one wanted to buy simple travel souvenirs like fridge magnets and coffee mugs and things like that. And I used to collect these things from wherever I went. And I used to wonder, why is it that one doesn't get good quality souvenirs in India? And that was the driving force behind my entrepreneurial venture. So I set up a company called Memory Marg, and Memory Marg, of course, specializes in travel souvenirs. And I sell souvenirs to various five-star hotels like the Oberoi Group. I sell souvenirs to airport stores across India. I also do a B2C business on Amazon and through my website akshayhirima.com. And so what I've tried to do is I've tried to look at the end consumer. At the same time, I've looked at institutional sales through organizations like the Oberoi, etc.
Okay. So, Akshay, travel is your passion, and you've been writing all your blogs on travel. What made you choose this topic, corporate world to entrepreneurship, becoming your own boss? What was the reason, the big why behind this topic?
I think the reason why I shared this particular topic was I found that especially with the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, which has been around for the last 1 year, a lot of people have actually lost their jobs and are considering various options. And entrepreneurship is one such option that people have been considering. But people have a lot of doubts in terms of whether entrepreneurship is something which is for them, which is meant for them. Many of them have got no experience with running their own businesses. So I thought I wanted to share my learnings, because now it's been 10 years for me as an entrepreneur, and I wanted to share my learnings so that people would be able to take their decisions and figure out if entrepreneurship was for them.
Oh, that's a nice thought, Akshay. But just to continue with this thought, entrepreneurship is not meant for everybody. What is your thought on this?
Well, that's a very tricky question, I would say, because I would say it's all about developing and having the right skill sets. And if you are able to have the right skill sets and the right mindsets, then entrepreneurship can certainly be for everyone. I mean, there are various things like, for example, you need to be adaptable, because it's a very fast changing world out there. More so in the technology space. So you need to be constantly looking out for new innovations. You need to be adaptable. You need to certainly be patient and have perseverance. Because as an entrepreneur, you can be 100% sure that success won't come in month one or quarter one, or perhaps not even in year one. So you need to rough it out for a couple of years. And a lot of people tend to get into panic mode the moment they don't see the cash registers ringing very early on, and they panic and they shut down their businesses. But I think you've got to have patience and you've got to persevere. So there are several different qualities and traits and skill sets that entrepreneurs need to have, which I have talked about in my book. And anyone who develops those qualities can certainly become an entrepreneur. If I could do it, most people can.
So, Akshay, since you just mentioned that you've listed out, reasons and skills and traits which make an entrepreneur successful or fail, and I think we all know data. I think less than 80% entrepreneurs actually see through more than 5 years after launching their business. Can you share one reason out of that entire list you've created as to what makes an entrepreneur successful, or one reason why entrepreneurs fail? Just one. I know you've got a huge list in the book.
I think one very critical reason for success can be having a positive mindset. it's very easy for an entrepreneur to be very hard on himself and get into a very negative spiral, because like I said, it takes a lot of time and effort and doing a lot of the right things over an extended period before success comes. So you need to have a positive mindset and not allow the temporary failures to be like a setback. So I think that would be the number one uh, factor for success.
And what about failure? What do you feel makes entrepreneurs fail?
I think a lot of entrepreneurs also end up failing because they don't really have a very clear vision or goals. So they just go along with the flow, and there's no boss over them to guide them, to nudge them in the right direction. So as a result of which, they end up just doing a lot of firefighting on a day-to-day basis, and they don't really sit down and do a lot of careful planning when it comes to having their vision and having their goals. So they tend to just go with the flow. uh,
Yes, I will agree with you. In fact, Akshay, as an entrepreneur coach, I actually start off by ensuring that entrepreneurs are very clear on their goals, because till they have clarity on what their goals are, by when they can achieve those goals, the smart goal creation, it is very difficult for entrepreneurs to actually move in the right direction. So I would say I completely agree with what you said. And just one last thing I wanted to ask you: who will your book help, and how will your book help your readers?
I think my book is something which will really help people who are evaluating entrepreneurship as an option. Now, whether they are college students who are trying to toss up between the corporate sector and entrepreneurship, or they are people who are working in the corporate sector and are evaluating entrepreneurship. I think my book is something which will appeal to both these groups of people, because it'll, people like for example, I had a lot of doubts about entrepreneurship before I got into it. But if there had been somebody to hold my hand and guide me in the right direction and tell me more about it, perhaps that element of doubt would have been reduced. So that's exactly what I've tried to do through this book of mine. Let the person read the book, think about it, and then decide for themselves whether or not entrepreneurship is for them.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you very much for coming on my chat. And I'm sure there are lots of people who will benefit from this book, and lots of people who are looking forward to reading your book.
Thank you very much, Komalini, for having me on your chat. Thank you so much.
So, to read this book, click on the link in the description below. And believe me, if Akshay has got so many 5-star ratings in his previous book, this book will also be a great one. So click on that link, subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you at my next chat.